Hey guys, Aaron Cybertron Zane here, and today I'm back with another episode of Road to Rank where I climb the Online Series 10 ladder and provide live commentary as I go. Today we're trying out yet another brand new restricted Pokemon that we haven't used yet in Series 10, and that is Solgaleo. I believe after Solgaleo, we'll actually only have 3 restricteds left out of all the serious ones to try in Series 10, which are Ho-Oh, Lugia, and the Zamazenta. So yeah, I've had a blast, playing through Series 10 and making all this content, so I hope you all have been enjoying it. Really appreciate you all for watching, and thanks to Robbie for today's team. Rental and paste are in the description below. So first of all, let's quickly talk about each of the Pokemon. Solgaleo was actually one of my favorite Pokemon back in Series 8, but it's definitely noticeably weaker because, one, you can't Dynamax, and Solgaleo was just such a good benefactor of Dynamax because you could max Steel Spike, max Quake after activating Weakness Policy. That one-shot so many different things while also beefing up your Solgaleo even more. But without the ability to max, Solgaleo is obviously considerably more frail, can't boost its defenses nearly as well, and there are a lot of Pokemon that hit it for super effective damage, right? Solgaleo is weak to ground, it's weak to fire, it's weak to dark, so you're weak to things like Incineroar, Entei, Landorus, Dark Urshifu, for example. So it's not necessarily, a Pokemon that is super defensive, even though that used to be the case in Series 8. The lack of Dynamax just makes it harder. Now, you can actually tank most super effective attacks and at least take one hit, but it's not like before where, between Dynamax and max moves, a super effective attack would just do way less damage, right? And so that's something you really have to watch out for. This is still Weakness Policy Solgaleo, but it's a little bit slower and bulkier, and that's because this team has both Trick Room and Tailwind, which I think is really neat. So Solgaleo has enough speed where under the Tailwind, you'll outspeed practically everything other than Regieleki, but it's also slow enough where under Trick Room, you'll actually outspeed a lot of things that typically would expect to outspeed Solgaleo, right? Like Urshifu, for example. Kind of a lot of the Pokemon in the base, 85 to 100 speed range. A lot of people, when they see Solgaleo, typically expect max speed, and so you have the element of surprise of kind of a bulkier spread here, and that's nice because you can move EVs away from speed and invest them into bulk. One thing to note here is that it has actually Zen Headbutt and Close Combat, which is a little bit different from what you might have expected to see back in Series 8. Zen Headbutt, just gives you same type attack bonus and pairs really nicely with that Psychic Terrain from Indeedee, and then Close Combat's really, really valuable into Incineroar, but also just other things that it can hit for super effective, like Urshifu, for example. Dark Urshifu, specifically. So to enable that policy, you've got Shadow Ball the Indeedee as well as Shadow Sneak from Mimikyu. One thing to note is that even if you have set up Psychic Terrain, you can still self-Shadow Sneak into Solgaleo. That does not prevent, the Psychic Terrain doesn't prevent the self-activation, for example. So that's one thing that is just a mechanic that not everyone knows, and is one thing to keep in mind if you're trying out this team, because there will be many positions where you lead Indeedee, Mimikyu, sacrifice Indeedee to get Trick Room up, bring out Solgaleo, then you can still self-Shadow Sneak. So keep that in mind. Mimikyu here is really fun. It's max speed, so it actually still outspeeds most of the, Pokemon in the format outside of, the main restricteds and things like Regieleki. And you have Will-O-Wisp. Will-O-Wisp is really valuable. You can burn things like Urshifu, Rillaboom. Those are obviously both really common Pokemon. And yeah, it's I think when people see Mimikyu, you typically nowadays, I feel like, expect it to be bulkier than speedy. And so having that fast Will-O-Wisp is really nice. Trick Room, Shadow Sneak, Play Rough, all self-explanatory. Very classic Indeedee here. Now it has Shadow Ball, so that's really important because otherwise Calyrex Shadow Rider is going to be a lot more difficult to beat. So you're not going to one-shot Calyrex Shadow Rider with it, but you're going to deal large amounts of damage to it. Psychic Seed is just a really nice item because, the other items you normally want to use, like Sash, are taken up. Classic Tropial Stack Attacker. Now note that there's no body press, and in fact there's double support with Wide Guard and Trick Room. The Wide Guard is just handy here because Solgaleo is pretty weak to a lot of spread type attacks. Precipice Blaze from Groudon, Water Spout from Kyogre, and of course Astral Barrage from Calyrex Shadow Rider. So that's one thing that you can use towards your advantage and just potentially block one big attack and prevent your opponent from really doing too much in a given turn. Finally, you've got Life Orb Whimsicott and Focus Sash Mamoswine. Now, one of the reasons there's Life Orb on the Whimsicott is because Sash is on Mamoswine. Mamoswine is a pretty one-dimensional Pokemon right now in Series 10, but it's incredibly strong. However, it's all about positioning with it, because obviously it's really weak to certain Pokemon like Rillaboom and Incineroar, but can also deal large amounts of damage to those Pokemon in return, right? And so Sash just allows you to tank one big hit and potentially retaliate back with the KO, or, just damage them, maybe they survive, but then you can survive with the Sash. So yeah, with Mamoswine, this is really good into a lot of common Pokemon in the format. Regieleki, Incineroar, Landorus-I, Rillaboom, you hit all of those for super effective. You just have to be a little bit careful because a lot of those Pokemon can also deal massive amounts of damage to you in return. So because there's no Sash on the Mamo instead, or because there's no Sash on the Whimsicott, and you have it on Mammo. Life Orb is a really nice item here. It's classic Tailwind, Protect, Moonblast, but there's actually Grass Knot as well. I think Grass Knot's a really smart call here because it just improves your matchup into Kyogre and Groudon, and you can deal large amounts of damage to both of those, and I think very few people expect Life Orb Grass Knot from Whimsicott, so it's kind of just a fun surprise that can catch opponents off guard. So yeah, generally the bulk of your damage is going to come from Solgaleo and Mamoswine. Whimsicott can be very essential for super effective hits. Stack can, spread damage. It's not often going to pick up one-hit KOs, but it's one of those where under Trick Room you just, distribute Rock Slide and Jar Ball into really fast Pokemon. It is obviously very handy. Indeedee can just generally chip away at things with Expanding Force, and Shadow Ball's really good into Calyrex, and then Mimikyu, it has no attack investment here, so you're not going to deal that much damage, but you can still chip away at things with Play Rough, especially into Urshifus, for example, and fighting types in general. So yeah, ideally you set up Solgaleo with that policy and go from there, but Solgaleo, even without the policy activated, is still pretty solid. So yeah, that's going to be it for the breakdown. Thank you so much for watching, and let's get started with today's episode. Before we do, question of the day, I want to know if you could change one thing in Series 10, whether it be removing a move from a Pokemon, removing a Pokemon from the format, just adjusting the rule set slightly, what would it be? Let me know in the comment section below. I don't have any great answers to this, honestly, just because I feel like I don't really have any strong opinions about any specific Pokemon, so I'm particularly curious on your answers. So leave a like if you enjoy, and let's get started. Alright, getting into the first game here, and it's up against Palkia with Bisharp. Bisharp's pretty cool, as well as Talonflame. If I had to guess, Dark Urshifu, because you already have a water type in Palkia. Trick Room seems like the more natural route to go here, because they have Talonflame with Tailwind, and we're not really going to outpace them. I do have to be careful with Mimikyu Solgaleo, right? They have Bisharp and potentially Dark Urshifu as well, so that's two things that can just immediately deal huge amounts of damage to Solgaleo, so I probably want to be a little bit careful about that. I think Bisharp's actually a really solid lead for them here. I think I'm going to go Indeedee Mimikyu. Solgaleo. Who do I want as number 4? Probably Mamoswine. I mean, Stack doesn't have Body Press here. Yeah, because we've got Wide Guard as well as Trick Room. I guess Gyro Ball's still not bad damage, but it's just the Focus Sash on Mamoswine that I really like here. Because Whimsicott and Stack can get one-shot by a lot of things on my opponent's team here. So let's see how this plays out. Going up against two potential Dark types and a Talonflame, that's pretty scary for the Solgaleo. The key thing about Series 10 Solgaleo versus Series 8 Solgaleo is you obviously can't Dynamax. And so, super effective hits just hit a lot harder, right? Which makes it generally tougher. They're going to go with Talonflame and Rillaboom, which I'm totally okay with, especially if we win the Terrain War here. But we don't win the Terrain War. Oh, wow. Okay. I have to say I was not expecting that. But you can't fake out Mimikyu and BF Mentor, so honestly, I think it's fine. Yeah, it's actually not much of an issue at all here. I could Will-O-Wisp turn 1, but because of Mentor, this is a free Trick Room right now. It's just that, setting up Trick Room this turn is actually slightly awkward, to be honest. I'm honestly down to Will-O-Wisp Rillaboom to start and just follow me. Yeah. Well, I want to get Trick Room up, but I don't think we need it up this turn. Especially with Rillaboom being slower than our Pokemon here. Because this Mimikyu is max speed, max HP. So you could go for a Grassy Glide, to which I would redirect. And then if you were to double up onto Indeedee and KO that, well then that gives me a free switch in into probably Solgaleo. And then I'd want to Sunsteel Strike Trick Room. Yeah, they go for Dual Wing Beat, unfortunately miss. Okay. I wonder if that would have knocked out Indeedee. It would have been close, but we do connect on Will-O-Wisp, which is really nice. And the reason why I do like that a lot is just because, yeah, now your damage output is just so reduced. And that's really pivotal considering we have Mamoswine in the back with our team. Okay, I'm down to Trick Room. I'm leaning towards Trick Room and switching out here. The only risk is if they end up Flare Blitzing the Indeedee on the switch in. But if they don't, we are in a phenomenal position going into the next turn. Because I can just Shadow Sneak into Zen Headbutt. Yeah, they go for Dual Wing Beat. Okay, they target Mimikyu, but with the burn on Rillaboom, I think we should survive a Wood Hammer anyway. See how much they do on the second hit. Pretty good damage, honestly. Okay, that's because they're life orbed. And they just go for U-turn. Okay, perfect. That works for me. So we get Solgaleo out in a pretty good position now. Let's see, Talonflame no longer has priority. Your Gale Wings is broken. I would guess Palkia comes out here. Then the subsequent turn is interesting because Palkia can reverse Trick Room while Talonflame can also Flare Blitz into Solgaleo. Yeah, so Palkia comes out, okay. I don't know if we survive a Life Orb Flare Blitz, honestly. I could just Zen Headbutt Talonflame, play rough into Palkia. That also works. I guess the question, like the fear is if Zen Headbutt actually doesn't KO the Talonflame. If I were my opponent, I would actually click Trick Room with Palkia and Flare Blitz with Talonflame. But the question is whether or not Flare Blitz would KO. They are Life Orb, but Talonflame's not exactly the most offensive Pokemon. And so far, we haven't seen a Dark type come out yet either. I lean towards just KOing Palkia here, honestly. Question is whether or not play rough. Like, do I have to Shadow Sneak to do it? Okay, I'm going to Shadow Sneak Zen Headbutt Palkia here. Talonflame protects, nice. Yeah. This turn's a little bit risky, though, because if Palkia protected... We could also miss Zen Headbutt, which is the other scary thing. But yeah, if Palkia protected, and Talonflame just Flare Blitzed us, that might have been pretty ugly. Okay, nice. We connect Zen Headbutt. I hope +2 this KOs. Let's see. Oh, that is really bulky. Wow, okay. That's an issue. I really didn't think they could survive that. Okay. Now you can obviously Hydro Pump, but we are faster with Mimikyu. But I do have to face Life Orb Talonflame here. I don't have Trick Room on Solgaleo, but they also don't know that. I've got Mamoswine in the back as well as Indeedee. Here I'm actually thinking play Roughing into Palkia and just Zen Headbutting into Talonflame. I guess the problem is that Talonflame might be able to just one-shot either Pokemon right now, but we do have a lot of bulk on both, and Talonflame's attack is honestly rather subpar. Okay, so they're gonna opt for Blitz. That looks like into Solgaleo. Nice, okay. And so Mimikyu should outspeed and connect on play rough, or not connect, if we connect. Okay. Nice, it hits, perfect. And that knocks out Palkia, great. This is where paying attention to like the field condition turn by turn. Oh, also, I shouldn't have Zen Headbutted there, I think. I should have Sunsteel Strike, because it covers for a switch into their Dark types. And Talonflame is relatively frail anyway, and like they're gonna take recoil from either Dual Wing Beat or Flare Blitz there, right? Well, Dual Wing Beat from Life Orb, and then Flare Blitz from both recoil and Life Orb. So yeah, but Mimikyu and Solgaleo have put in so much good work for us so far, so I'm really happy about that. Okay, and it's Water Urshifu. Oh wow, that's interesting. Would not have expected that. Okay. This game is still losable, so let's be careful. Let's assume the worst case, which is what? Urshifu's Choice Scarfed? Because if we just hit Will-O-Wisp on it here, that should just secure us the game. You can't fake out Mimikyu. So I think I'm fine just attacking with both Pokemon here. Yeah. Okay, they just go for Glide. Cool. Nice. Mimikyu, yeah, it doesn't take much. We do miss Will-O-Wisp, okay. That's okay. It happens. I could have gone for Play Rough, which is higher accuracy, but... do I like going for Play Rough there? Like, the thing is, I can just bring out Indeedee now. Just Will-O-Wisp again. I guess Play Rough is a 2-hit KO on Urshifu, but, you know, if we get the burn there, that should immediately just be game over. So I'm willing to take 85% chance to basically immediately win the game. They don't have terrain anymore. Great. Yeah, I think we need to bring out Indeedee first, because we don't want Mamoswine to get just hit by a Surging Strikes, but this is where things are now a little bit scarier, I have to say. Now, we know we're faster than Rillaboom, so if we hit Will-O-Wisp onto Urshifu, then Surging Strike certainly won't KO Indeedee, and then Expanding Force should just, you know, deal large amounts of damage, enough where that plus the burn maybe is enough. So I'm just going to Will-O-Wisp here and Expanding Force. Rillaboom being burnt means you're never knocking out Mimikyu, unless you, like, crit Woodhammer here. And Mamo's going to be good in the end game, but it has to worry about Urshifu, right? Like, Mamo's such an interesting Pokemon in this format because it's super good. Okay, nice. We hit the Will-O-Wisp here. It's super good into a lot of Pokemon like Insane or Landorus-I, and can be good into Rillaboom, but you just have to dance around that kind of priority with Grassy Glide, which is why I wanted to get that Will-O-Wisp earlier. But yeah, it looks like their Palkia in this game is just really bulky. Actually, I mean, I don't even know if that's the case, because like max speed Palkia is still slower than Mimikyu, right? So this is where like us running max speed Mimikyu is really good. And then them going for the Flare Blitz onto Solgaleo rather than Mimikyu also helped us out in this one. Nice. Expanding Force actually just picks up the KO. But the thing is, we need the burn there, right? Because if we don't get the burn, then you probably actually KO the Indeedee. And then suddenly it's Mimikyu plus Mamo against Rillaboom. So then it's like, I probably needed to hit one of 3 Will-O-Wisps, but I've seen that go wrong before. But now we can just play rough and Expanding Force. This was a really fun one, though. And Solgaleo, Mimikyu, like, really put in so much work. So, yeah. I mean, Will-O-Wisp at the end of the day is just such a good move. Burns in this format especially are so valuable. That, you know, there's a reason why Entei with the Sacred Fire is such a strong option on so many different teams. But ultimately, yeah, I'm really surprised that my opponent didn't bring that Bisharp. But Bisharp's also, I guess, pretty tough to, like, navigate with in this matchup. So my opponent probably just didn't feel super comfortable with it. But I figured if they led that... Unfortunately, they weren't Dark Urshifu. That was the other thing I was really worried about, because Solgaleo obviously doesn't love going up against that. So, yeah, let's check their team here. It's Lustrious Orb, Palkia, pretty standard. Yeah, okay, so they were not max speed. It's modest. Aleki, Eevee's outspeed, basically everything other than opposing Aleki's. Mystic Water, Urshifu. Yeah, it's a pretty good amount of bulk, actually. Focus Sash, Metal Burst. Oh, that's really cool. Okay. AV Rilla here. Huh, you know, I was wondering why, yeah, it undersped Indeedee. That's because it's actually Brave, min speed, or close to min speed. And then Talonflame here, Jolly, max attack. Cool. Okay, that was a really, really cool team, honestly. So, fun way to get things started here. Second game of the day, and wow, this is a really cool team. It's not going to be a good matchup, that's for sure, but we'll try our best. Torkoal Groudon, so dual fire with regular Darmanitan. Rillaboom, Whimsicott, Galarian, Zapdos. Burning Groudon with Mimikyu actually seems... Like, their team is so physical, so that seems good. It's just, like, dealing with the Darmanitan that I'm primarily nervous about. I think I want to just go Indeedee, Mimikyu, stack attack of Solgaleo. But the problem is, even if I set up Trick Room, they have Torkoal, right? Huh. So maybe instead it's Whim, Mimikyu, Solgaleo, Mamoswine? I don't think I can go the Trick Room route because it would just allow Torkoal to sweep me under Trick Room, which doesn't feel right. Alright, this is just a really cool team. And ultimately, like, yeah, it's obviously not a great matchup for Solgaleo, right? We're going up into 3 things, like, can hit it for super effective and potentially one-shot it. Groudon actually probably can't, but Torkoal with Eruption and Darmanitan with the Flare Blitz and Sun can. So then the issue here is... And the other issue is that even if Darmanitan were at +2, or sorry, Solgaleo's at +2, I'm not sure it can actually knock out some of my opponent's Pokemon, which is really scary. But this is actually generally, I'd say, a favorable lead for us, as they go with Groudon and Galarian Zapdos. So, like, the play I'm actually thinking of here is Protect into Will-O-Wisp turn 1. Do I think they're going to Heat Crest? Because, like, if they're not Scarf Zapdos, low-key here, I could also... Oh, I also have Life Orb Grass Knot. Oh, that's so strong here, actually. Oh, we have so many options. Groudon is definitely the bigger threat. Now, I kind of feel like I need Tailwind, because otherwise Darmanitan is going to be a huge issue for us. Okay, I'm down to Protect and Will-O-Wisp Groudon turn 1. I'm just a little bit scared about this, because Will-O-Wisp is certainly not the most reliable option out of our attacks right now. Okay, they Thunderous Kick, nice. Okay, and we hit Will-O-Wisp, nice. They outsped Mimikyu, but that doesn't really give us any information. If they're max speed Zapdos, you're outspeeding anyway. And they just Precipice Blades, okay. Thunderous Kick was interesting there, though. I guess maybe reading into a switch. Burning Groudon's a great start, though. I'm happy about that. Okay. I've got the Grass Knot now. And they're Life Orb Groudon, okay. The thing is, like, even with this burn, I'd probably still faint with Whimsicott. So, like, I really feel the need to Tailwind right now, honestly. It's just, like, Life Orb, Grass Knot, and Moonblast are so strong here. Groudon's not really that scary. So, okay, I mean, this thing's not really a problem to us at all. I assume they have Darm and Torkoal in the back. I think that's the assumption we should play towards right now. As much as it pains me, yeah, I think I'm just going to Tailwind here. And Will-O-Wisp into Zapdos. Ah, they switched that out, though. Okay. Into Torkoal. That's fine. It's fine. I think I had to get... like, I can't set up Trick Room because I know they're probably going to have Torkoal in the back. And I need to Tailwind this turn because otherwise Darmanitan is a huge issue for us. They actually just Precipice Blades. Okay. Oh, that's actually smart, though, because you deny me a free switch-in now by going for that. Okay. I have Mamo and Solgaleo in the back. I'm down to Protect here with Whimsicott. And just sneak into Torkoal to give me a free switch-in. That was a good switch by them. And if I just Grass-Knotted Groudon there, we'd be in a really good spot. The switch also makes me think maybe they're choiced on Zapdos, but I'm not 100% sure. The other good thing is at least I have that Focus Sash on Mamo, right? So I can take a big attack from Choice Scarf Darmanitan. Although that's the other thing. If Scarf's on Zapdos, it's not on Darmanitan, so it's another thing to wonder about. Okay, we're going to Protect. Torkoal actually protects. Oh, okay. Which is fine, actually. I mean, if you knock out the Mimikyu, that's what I'm aiming for, right? I get the free switch-in that I'm looking for, but they end up heat crashing to Whimsicott. Ugh, okay. That's not actually good. Because now, Torkoal threatens with a double KO. I don't have any way around it. I guess I could switch Mimikyu out, but I don't think I'm going to. And the other issue is now my Tailwind has just got installed out completely, basically, right? Which is obviously not good for us. What? Okay, I'll gladly take that turn. I mean, they're obviously not expecting the Grass Knot here, so having Life Orb Grass Knot is super, super sick. But neither of... Like, the Torkoal's not in threat of getting KO'd that turn. I feel like you're just in such a good position to... Like, they position themselves really well to just click Heat Wave or Eruption there. But this is so good now, right? Because I can just protect Whimsicott, get a second Tailwind up, and then that puts us in a pretty solid endgame, I would say. So Torkoal comes back out. That's fine. Yeah, one turn of Tailwind left here, so I'm down to just protect. And Will-O-Wisp into Zapdos. Even if Zapdos protects, it's fine. Like, it's not like I can do much into Torkoal right now. Alright, they do have Detect. Okay, good to confirm that. But I think this is okay. Because now I know that you're not Scarfed. Which also implies that Darmanitan in the back is probably Scarfed. So then the next turn is interesting. Because I have to bring out Mamoswine. Sunlight fades at a good time. I guess I could bring out Solgaleo, actually. I think with the sun faded, I like switching into Solgaleo here because they just protected with Zapdos. We should survive Eruption, unless they're choice specs. That's my main concern here. But, like, I'm thinking, you know, we can just Tailwind and Zen Headbutt here. Zen Headbutt covers for Darmanitan. If you stay in, we just KO you. Torkoal might even pivot for a switch here, though. Yeah, like, the main thing I'm worried about is Eruption one-shotting Solgaleo here. But the sun isn't up anymore, so I think we would survive. Solgaleo's really bulky. And then it would activate Weakness Policy. You'd KO Whimsicott. Okay, and they switch. Perfect. Perfect. That should be Darm, right? Oh, wow, they didn't even bring Darmanitan. To be honest, that was the Pokemon I was most scared of, so I'm very glad that didn't come out. So Rillaboom comes out, okay. We still have to hit Zen Headbutt, though. That's the scary thing. There are a lot of slightly inaccurate attacks that this team has, right? Like Player Up, Zen Headbutt, Will-O-Wisp. All make you sweat a little bit, but nice. Perfect. Let's see, I've got Mamoswine in the back. This game's still not over, though. We have to be careful. But Mamoswine's obviously pretty good to have because it has super effective hits into both of my opponent's Pokemon. Still don't know the item on this Torkoal, but... You know what? It was probably the right decision for them to not attack if Eruption isn't KOing there. Because if it doesn't KO, you just activate Weakness Policy, and then Solgaleo can just one-shot things. I'm just going to double... Ooh, do I want to double Protect here, actually? Because there's an argument to be made to sacrifice Whimsicott here. Because if I double protect, then I'm at risk of potentially losing both Pokemon the subsequent turn. So it might make more sense to actually Moonblast the Torkoal here and just protect Solgaleo. Even if you fake out and KO Whimsicott, that's fine. Like, then I get the free switching into the Mamoswine. And then I can just double up onto Torkoal. And they fake out into Solgaleo. Perfect. Okay, nice. Even a single Moonblast here is such a nice steal, right? Like, Torkoal's special defense isn't good. We're Life Orb. We have a chance of decreasing their special attack, which we get. And more importantly, we decrease that Eruption damage, which right now isn't super important into Whimsicott, but is very important for that Solgaleo specifically. Sometimes in Pokemon, like, with positioning, you want to be careful about, like, when you protect with one Pokemon, like, if you double protect, then the next turn, it's like, you have to take a really big risk if you want to protect with either again, right? You probably don't want to click protect unless you need to with either Pokemon the subsequent turn. But then that means that both slots are vulnerable the subsequent turn. And so, while double protect does block that fake out, I was thinking it's not really that worth it because then I'm not sure I can actually one-shot like either Pokemon, even if I double up into them. And that's what scared me. Rillaboom so rarely carry protect. And with that special attack drop, I think I can just go for Icicle Crash and Sunsteel Strike. Like, you're probably going to Glide, Mamo. Yeah, but Torkoal here shouldn't be able to KO the Solgaleo. Oh, wait. I don't have enough damage in a Torkoal. Oh, no, but they'll activate Weakness Policy. Yeah, that's okay. But then the question is, do I even KO with Weakness Policy? We don't knock out Rillaboom there either. Maybe that wasn't the right play then. Like, I could have doubled up into Torkoal, but obviously if I double up into Torkoal and Torkoal protects, that's an issue. I actually think the right play might have been to protect Mamo there. Because I'm not sure I one-shot Torkoal. Oh, but they Flamethrower. Okay, then we should always win, right? Nice. Yeah, that activates policy. I don't know if I love how I played that. Like... We'll see. The question is whether or not a +2 Zen Headbutt KOs Torkoal. And we got very lucky with that special attack drop, right? If that didn't happen, then this endgame might have to think a lot harder, and then feels more like a coin flip in terms of mind games. And also, we could still lose this from misses, but I think I have to Zen Headbutt here. Yeah. I mean, I could go for close combat. High horsepower connects. Maybe it was correct to close combat. Like, we end up hitting... I would think +2 Zen Headbutt KOs Torkoal at 70%, but I don't know. Some Torkoals are really, really physically defensive. So, yeah. Mamoswine was really good for us in this endgame, but yeah, I don't know if I love how I played that last turn. This is the issue with Mamoswine. This is also why, like, every Mamoswine runs Focus Sash, more or less, because if you don't have Sash, you just hard lose to Rillaboom so bad. So, yeah. I'm really glad Darmanitan didn't come out, and Mimikyu with these Will-O-Wisps are so good. And you can see how this team is so flexible, right? You can obviously go the Trick Room route, but we don't necessarily need to immediately, right? And in this game, if we had set up Trick Room, then I think Torkoal actually would have just demolished us under Trick Room, which would have been really, really bad. So the main thing that we wanted to position ourselves for was to pressure with Will-O-Wisps, and that worked out super, super well with the lead. I think that the main thing here is that my opponent had a really big opportunity the turn they switched out Torkoal, and if they just clicked Eruption that turn, like, we weren't threatening them with much damage. They would have picked up a double KO, and I think we would have been in a much more difficult position, because it's like they didn't do that, we were still in a pretty tricky spot. But yeah, they made some really cool plays. Life Orb Groudon's pretty interesting to see. It's probably Focus Sash Zapdos. Charcoal Torkoal, if I had to guess, because they were able to switch moves there in the end, and then just save a Rillaboom. But yeah. If we didn't get the special attack drop, then the next turn, it would basically be... I'd have to double up onto the right Pokemon, and then it's a question of whether or not they protect. It's basically a question of like doubling up onto Torkoal and whether or not they protect, right? So I'd either go high horsepower, then headbutt into it. If it protects, then you do glide into us, and I'm at Focus Sash. And if you don't protect, we win the game. So that special attack drop, like, just really allowed us to, make that end game a little bit more confidently. But it was still scary, right? Because, like, yeah, I was thinking if you Eruption and then you don't KO Solgaleo, you activate Policy, but then maybe you're defensive enough to actually take Zen Headbutt. I'm not sure. But, yeah, that was really, really wild. So let's look for another one. Final one of the day, and we're up against Zacian. Okay, cool. It's always fun to feature, like, a rotating list of restricteds just to see how, the different matchups play out. Now, they have Landorus-I, which I think is one of the scarier Pokemon to go up against when using this team, just because it can one-shot Solgaleo and Stack, which are otherwise really bulky Pokemon. We do have Will-O-Wisp with Mimikyu. They have Pelipper. Pelipper with Zacian, I think, is quite strong, and in fact, maybe a little bit underplayed, given that I've seen it perform really well. I don't think we go the Tailwind route in this one. Whimsicott's damage also isn't really that impressive. So I lean towards NDD Stack Attack. Could just go NDD Mimikyu actually as well, right? Especially because you can't fake out. And then I lean towards Solgaleo and Mamoswine. It just like, I want to bring Stack here, but it does get one shot by Lando. I mean, we do have Chopal, which means we can take an attack from Zacian. But, like, I really feel the need for Mamoswine here because it hits 5 of my opponent's 6 Pokemon for super effective damage. Yeah. Okay, let's see. If we can burn Zacian, that'll be good, but that doesn't necessarily just win us games because there's a lot of offense from everything else. Kind of thinking back to the Spiritomb Game 3. Not the previous episode, but the first episode. But they do go with Pelipper and Zacian. So, like, I think here I am willing to follow me into Trick Room. Because one thing I do have to respect is a sub Zacian. So if I Will-O-Wisp and they substitute, it's just a brutal turn for us because we get nowhere. And then Pelipper either gets free damage onto the NDD. Okay, one thing I could consider is follow me Will-O-Wisp. So it's like, even if they have sub, I just don't get anywhere, and then turn 2, I'm so passive. Oh, Pelipper's slower than NDD as well. Okay. That actually makes this pretty weird. I could protect, but I honestly want a free switch in. So, okay, I'm down to follow me Trick Room. The big question I have is, are you sub or Swords Dance Zacian in this team? Maybe not either, but it's almost always one of the two at a high level. Yeah, they're sub. Ugh. That is gonna be an issue. Skull doesn't do much, which is good. Can play Roof Expanding Force Pelipper now. Peli can switch into Incin as you protect Zacian. That'd be a really good play by them. And I don't really have great counterplay to that. This is where, like, setting up Trick Room is actually slightly awkward because, like, they probably have Incin in the back and that's going to be pretty slow. Yeah, if you have Incin, I would just protect Zacian, switch in Incin here. Oh, wide guard. I probably should have seen that coming, but what would I have done? Shadow Ball? I don't really think we get anywhere with that. They're just gonna Behemoth Blade. The sub just causes so many issues. I'm gonna target Mimikyu. This next turn is interesting. It's like, do you wide guard again? Because you'd revealed it, so you would think I probably wouldn't fall into the trap of it. Leftovers Pelipper. What? Wow. Okay, well that also explains why it's slower than Indeedee. The Sash is definitely on Aleki then. I need to break this sub right now. Honestly, I'm down to Expanding Force here again. Just do no damage into this thing. So maybe I should just Shadow Ball. I don't even know if Shadow Ball Play Rough KOs the sub, but I guess let's find out. It probably doesn't. Yeah, they wide guard again. Okay, at least that's good. Ideally, it's like we break sub and then they give me a free switch in. I'm also thinking, like, could I have brought any better Pokemon into this matchup? Stack Attack, I like maybe, but yeah, I don't even think this double up breaks the sub because we have no attack investment on Mimikyu. Oh, it does. Okay, nice, nice. Should have had a little bit more faith in the two here. Okay, so there's Blade. Yeah, the KO Mimikyu. And that's smart, right? Because it's like, Indeedee doesn't seem to be a major threat right now. Now the thing is, with Solgaleo out, I can self Shadow Ball to activate Weakness Policy. And then Sunsteel Strike Zacian. That's what I lean towards. The main fear would be a Scald Burn from Pelipper. If they get it, they get it. Of course I could, like, I could follow me and KO Pelipper, but then my fear is that I only have one more turn of Trick Room and then they have late game Zacian against my Solgaleo and Mamoswine. Incin? Okay, it's Rillaboom. I'm actually okay with that. Because if you don't burn us with Scald, I actually think we're maybe in okay shape. Yep, they just go for it. And if they burn, so be it, right? Yeah. Like, I could have gone Follow Me, Zen Headbutt there. But to be honest, if they don't burn there, I think we're in really good shape. Because we just one-shot Rillaboom, and we have one more turn of Trick Room to play under. With the Mamoswine with Focus Sash in the back. Now I think they should win the game. So, I did have a way around the burn, which was to go for Follow Me and Zen Headbutt. But that just felt a little bit passive to me. Especially if they had Incin in the back. Because then it's like, let's say I Follow Me Zen Headbutt and they switch Pelipper out into Incin. Probably just lose the game there immediately. So it's like, this was just like a calculated risk that I took and it didn't pan out, but it's okay, right? Like, Scald's burn chance is decently high, but it's basically like that play covers for almost every option. I guess like if they had Incin, they also could have switched Zacian out into Incin, so that could have been kind of ugly as well. I don't want to give up yet because I think it might still be winnable. I mean, I can't switch out into Mamo right now, though, right? Just Expanding Force and Zen Headbutt. Yeah, it's a little unfortunate, but that's okay. We have had plenty of burns and good fortune in the last, just episodes of Road to Ranked. And they double up on a Solgaleo. So I actually could have switched out into Mamoswine there, maybe. Leftovers actually gave Pelipper a lot of mileage, wildly enough. I guess the other thing is Rillaboom was actually bulky enough that even if they didn't get that burn, Sunsteel Strike wouldn't have gotten a one-hit KO. But then I would have been able to double protect the next turn, and then I would heal a little bit turn by turn. I honestly think, yeah, even if... they didn't get the burn, they'd probably still be in a better position than we would have been. The burn kind of accelerates things here. Trick Room expires. I think we survive Grassy Glide. I guess I target out Rillaboom here. Could follow me, but yeah, I'm just gonna hope that they don't glide. Maybe try to U-turn out. Well, glide wouldn't even KO Soga, right? But they could glide and Scald. Pelipper was really cool here. It's, like, always fun to go up against things that like you don't see very frequently, and see them put in a lot of work. Yeah, like Sub Zacian was a problem. Their team just had a lot of bulk. It was like enough bulk where. Oh, and they're faster. Okay, yeah. I mean, that actually should be surprising. Drum beating is a really cool move, actually. It wouldn't matter here because it just KOs, but it's actually like a really nice means of speed control that you don't see that frequently. And I think so many players, myself included, often just forget about it. So it's like it offers you, against the right matchups, just the burst of speed control that your opponent wouldn't anticipate, and that single drop can go a long way. So yeah, I wish we could have seen how this game would have played out without the burn, but either way, I think like they had a great lead. The sub on Zacian was really safe. They didn't risk their Zacian, didn't take any risky situations with that. Let's say I had Zen headbutted Pelipper for a KO that turn. Then they have Rillaboom out. And then you bring Zacian back in, and then you could fake out. You could fake out sub. Yeah, sub is just really tough for us here. So, like, maybe the right answer was to bring in Stack Attacka. I don't think Whimsicott's ever it. Stack helps. But it's just so hard into, like, a Lando. So then, it could have been NDD Stack Attacka. Follow me, Trick Room. But then what, right? Like, the thing is, I need NDD to set up Trick Room, but then it's so passive after that. So I'm not sure. I'm really not sure. If I'm my opponent, I'm subbing with Zacian right now. Yeah, I don't really think there's an out here unless it were to crit. Okay, they actually protect Zacian. That's also... I mean, I could have doubled up a Pelipper. I'm pretty sure this is bulk enough to survive max pressure. If you're lefties, you're not just max special attack, max speed, which normally is what I would expect Pelipper to have. That is so bulky. We get a flinch with Icicle Crash. Alright, they tailwind. Yeah, well played, well played. I really do want to find out what their last Pokemon is. Actually, it's still winnable, right? I mean, we do have this high horsepower. If you're my opponent, you should just Behemoth Blade into Mamoswine. Okay, how can we win this? We can win if their last Pokemon is Landorus-I. And we one-shot here. Yeah, follow me and high horsepower into Zacian. Wow, if I actually expanding force and their last one was Lando-I, like, then we actually could have just gone follow me, high horsepower, but then Zacian can just sub infinitely. It might sub here even. But they go for Blade, okay. I just don't know if high horsepower KO Zacian. I feel like it should. I'm not 100% sure. Yeah, that is KO NDD, okay. Pelipper should be faster than us here as well, so... Like, Scald in itself will do a lot. Let's see if it does over 50. Okay, it does. Yeah, that's game over then, I think. No burn. So we do get to see their last one. Yeah. Wow. Pelipper. You are very impressive here. Man, if I clicked Expanding Force and their last one was Lando, I think we had a good shot. Not a great one, but a good one. Terrain disappears. I mean, if it's Lando now, at this point, I can't really win unless... Actually, there's really no way around it. Oh my goodness, it was insane. If I actually doubled up onto Pelipper... I mean, yeah. That was just a great tailwind by them. There's no win con here, right? Because even if I protect this turn... You just Flare Blitz Scald always. Yeah, now they've got me here. Mamoswine was so crucial in this matchup, but I didn't get enough pressure early on to really maximize my usage of it. So honestly, yeah, like there's actually an argument to be made to just prioritize knocking out Pelipper earlier when I could have had that Zen Headbutt into it, just because that is the main threat to Mamoswine, and Mamoswine beats everything else in my opponent's team. I didn't think about Mamoswine as a late game win condition well enough in this matchup, I think. And now that I look back at it, if Pelipper were eliminated, Mamo could have actually just cleaned house completely. Yeah, the bird's unfortunate, but like I didn't play well enough to like I didn't identify the win conditions well enough in Mamoswine in this one. So yeah, but you can see how good Mamo was, right? Even despite that, like it one-shot the Zacian at 80%, and could have single-handedly carried us in this game if I did more damage earlier on. But sub Zacian is just kind of tough to break through and is such a good move, especially because it means that you can actually bring Zacian and lead it even into Trick Room setups, and in fact even have an advantage, especially because those kind of hard Trick Room setups will often have to play a little bit harder and lead passively to get Trick Room up. The sub also invalidates the Will-O-Wisp. And one thing that my opponent did really well in that game was also consistently target down Mimikyu rather than Indeedee, because if they knocked out Indeedee, I would have been able to burn the Zacian, and then that would have at least given me more comfort in targeting around it. But yeah, ultimately, like, the key thing I could have done in this game was knock out Pelipper. I'm surprised they actually didn't protect and switch in Instinct, because that would have given them a really big advantage. But yeah, I didn't punish them hard enough, and Pelipper was super strong for them, so really cool to see that. You know, Pelipper is really interesting in this format because it has super effective attacks into Rillaboom, into Incineroar, into Landorus-I. You often see with the Focus Sash, my opponent set was a little bit bulkier here, probably because they had Sash on Regieleki, and then Wide Guard and Tailwind are both fantastic support moves as well. Yeah, they probably didn't have Protect on it. You want to run, you know, Scald Hurricane, Wide Guard, and the Tailwind, so yeah. I should have just KO'd Pelipper sooner, and then Mamoswine could have put in more work. But that was a really fun set of games, honestly, and it was really fun to try out Solgaleo. So thank you so much, as always, for watching. Details for the team are in the description below. Leave a like if you enjoyed. Don't forget to answer the question of the day, and I'll see you all soon. All right, peace.